is for the ones who care.
What's going on, people? Welcome back to another video. My name is hughwizzy and you're watching 90 More, back again as Juventus officially announced that they are set to part ways with manager Massimiliano Allegri, who has taken Juventus to 5 league titles in a row. Obviously they've won 8 in a row, but he is responsible for 5 of those, and he has picked up 11 trophies in his 5-year tenure. 5 Serie A titles, 4 Coppa Italias, and 2 Supercoppa Italias. They got knocked out in the Champions League quarter-finals this season and the Coppa Italia quarter-finals, and I think that's really where the main problems have started to set in. There have been doubts beforehand about Allegri's ability in the final third. Is there a plan? Are they just winging it? It would appear that people are tired of the incessant crossing, the lack of through balls. And, you know, plenty of times I've watched them this season, Cristiano Ronaldo is making fantastic runs through the middle, but no one is even looking to do anything but a sideways pass. It's possible, however, as much as people in Italy don't seem to be huge fans of the guy, that people in England are more than willing and ready to bring this guy on board. Chelsea should be front runners. Manchester United as well, really, should be thinking about bringing in a man who has such a proven track record and letting go of the morals, because the affiliation that they have with one of their legends in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer could well be detrimental to the progress that the club needs to make over the next few years. Allegri, you know for a fact, is not going to take any nonsense. He will be getting rid of big name stars if they're not up to it or if they don't suit his plans. And that could be seen as a positive. As it stands, they have won the league already. Juventus, they won it about a month ago, to be honest. It was in the bag. They've still got 2 games left this season, so it's not over just yet. But there are rumours abound that Juventus higher-ups have been having talks with other managers, including the likes of Antonio Conte, former Chelsea manager, who hasn't had a job since, and also Mauricio Pochettino, who has demanded apparently a £17 million a year fee for his services, and is definitely sending a message to the Tottenham higher-ups, or Daniel Levy in particular, that he's going to need to see more investment in the squad if they are to be taken seriously, and he's going to stay on board. I can understand why. No signings at all this season, and somehow they've made the Champions League final, and also top 4. That said, he's being very realistic in that he's made it quite clear he doesn't think it's anything but naive to believe that they would be able to compete with Manchester City or Liverpool or whoever else for a consistent amount of time without that investment. So, where is Allegri going to go? Who's going to be replacing him? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section below. There has been talk about Pep Guardiola and Jose Mourinho. Let's talk about Pep for a second. It's debatable, this one, because he does usually like to stay at a club for 3 years. Obviously, this is his 3rd year, but he's maintaining that he's going to be around for another 2 seasons, and he has got the assurances of Manchester City higher-ups that he's the man for the job. Will he be going to Italy? I mean, I think about it, and Pep Guardiola will never make a bad decision as far as the next job. It's always going to be somewhere where he's guaranteed wins, guaranteed trophies, has a good squad already, and there's, you know, a bottomless pit of cash for him to dip into. Juventus really do tick all those boxes. And in much a similar way, I guess, Allegri has to be thought of in terms of being up there with the top managers in world football. And so he's going to be in the conversation with other clubs who can offer those services or offer those extras that he needs to maintain this level of success. So that's why you've got people like PSG being rumoured to be linked with Allegri now. But like I said, Chelsea and Manchester United should both be considering this, in my opinion, because he's a no-nonsense manager. He's not going to have any kind of, you know, laziness or second-rate ability, or, you know, he's a distinct, clear plan with exactly what he wants to achieve, and there's a way to do it, and everyone has to work. I'm not going to lie, it's not the most entertaining football to watch, but it is clearly effective, and it has served Allegri and Juventus well in the 5 years that he's been there. Signed Cristiano Ronaldo last season for £99.2 million. A lot of people are saying that they haven't got return on their investment. Not from Cristiano necessarily, but just from the side in general, having added Cristiano to it. I think a lot of people expected them to at least get to a Champions League final again, perhaps even bring one home. That has to have been the aim. And the fact that they failed to do that and have been knocked out in the quarterfinals of the Coppa Italia this season mean that it hasn't been a great season, even though they've had the league in the bag for so long. Final game is going to be against Sampdoria on the 26th of May. So who's going to be taking over? You know, we've spoken about Pep. We've spoken about the possibility of Pochettino. Conte is someone that definitely wants to get back involved at the top. I'm sure that he would love the Juve job again, possible return, where he was very successful in kind of papering over the cracks of the dodgy era, shall we call it, the controversial era. And I know that he's highly thought of there. He's done what he had to do in England very quickly, in and out. Didn't really like the way he was treated, but he was a success. There's no denying that. Winning the Premier League in his first season is something to be talked about. Jose Mourinho also been linked with the job, although I have my own doubts whether he's really seriously considering this, if only because his real affiliation in Italy is with Inter Milan. I would be very surprised. So what next for Allegri? You know, having been at Cagliari, having been at AC Milan, Juventus, having won everything there is to win, there's not really a lot he can do in Italy anymore, apart from perhaps becoming the Italian national coach. Because you've got Mancini in that job quite recently as well, the likelihood of that actually happening is quite small, I think. And therefore, I reckon you've got two potential real destinations for Allegri. One of those is to the Premier League. We do know, of course, that he has been speaking English or learning to speak English. There have been pictures on his Instagram of him studying. And he's made no secret of the fact that he would like to coach in England one day. I think the only thing that was holding him back before was his daughter. So there's England that he could consider at least. There's also PSG, who are certainly another club who tick all of those boxes. They've got the bottomless pit of cash. They've got a good squad. They win pretty much everything. It's just going to be about whether he can take them to that next level, which Thomas Tuchel doesn't seem to have been able to do. Whether that is linked to Neymar's injury or, you know, having too many superstars on board, whatever it is. Again, whilst Manchester City and PSG, and I guess Juventus, are chasing this next Champions League trophy, or their first Champions League trophy in City's case, the managerial merry-go-round will continue. There have also been talks apparently with Maurizio Sarri, obviously not everyone's favourite Chelsea manager. He hasn't had a bad season, if I'm honest. Getting to Europa League final and finishing in the Champions League places has to be considered well, maybe not a success, but a pretty decent season, especially given the way that Chelsea were at one stage. He's got them to the final in Baku, and apparently Juventus have already been in contact with Maurizio Sarri because, according to some reports, I guess dependent on who you're believing, because apparently Pep Guardiola has already rejected them and Mauricio Pochettino rejected them quite a few months ago. It's been a strange season for Sarri, hasn't it? The Callum Hudson-Odoi drama certainly been a thorn in his side. Loftus-Cheek and N'Golo Kante have had their own issues about where they're supposed to be playing or game time. And when he was asked about his future, Sarri said earlier this week that he thinks he'll be at Chelsea next season, but he's not quite sure. Not the most convincing response. And he also explained that Chelsea had asked him for one thing, and that was to qualify for the Champions League. They did that, and they are also in a European Cup final. What's interesting is that in Italy, he's clearly viewed as not quite the finished article. His attacking style of football or his attacking play in the final third has often left quite a lot to be desired. And a few people have accused him of just not having a clue or having no plan whatsoever. All about stability, lots of sideways stuff, get it out wide, whip those crosses in. And as a result, I think people outside of Serie A actually value and rate this guy a lot higher than they do in the league. I guess it really depends on what you enjoy, right? Do you enjoy just the results? Or do you need a more entertaining brand of football? We've talked about this with Brighton sacking Chris Hughton quite recently. And I've got to say that whilst there are people online who are calling Allegri clueless, I'd say they were clueless themselves. The style of football may not be to everyone's taste, but it's certainly been effective. And really and truly, it's only in the last 2 or 3 months of his tenure that things have really fallen apart. I want to read you an interesting quote that I've got from Allegri. He said, "I could never be a coach who mainly focuses on tactics or analytics because I am more instinctive. The coach, in my opinion, bases his decisions on sensations, on perceptions. Otherwise, football would be like a PlayStation game. This is why I personally believe that he won't end up at a club whose philosophy or ethos historically has been an attacking brand of football. It means that Barcelona have to be out of the question. They simply cannot be involved in employing a guy who will do exactly the same thing, if not worse. And these super scared cowardice, or however you want to call it, defensive, negating tactics won't wash, even if you do bring trophies home, because it's not necessarily just about winning the trophies, it's how you're winning the trophies. What brand of football are you bringing? Is this electrifying, super fast paced brand of football like we're seeing with Liverpool, or is it a slow sideways type thing that we're seeing with Juve that a lot of people just aren't into? So if you do see anyone suggesting that Allegri should be going to Barcelona, I'd suggest that they themselves were clueless. No true Barcelona fan who has the spirit of Johan Cruyff looking down at them is going to choose a brand of football that is just negative, negating, step back, cowardice, sideways, crossing. No. An attacking philosophy can be successful. We've seen that this year with the likes of Ajax. And I think that people are going to be braver going into this. Even for Chelsea, I think it would be a massive risk, if only because Sarri is trying to do something differently. The philosophy that Chelsea have is based on defensive stability and counter-attacking. Now, it's possession, it's build-up, it's patience, it's trusting each player, you know? And debatably, you could say that bringing in someone like Allegri, even though he'd give more stability, would perhaps be a step backwards. It just depends, I think, on whether you're a results man or you enjoy the style of football. 75.5% win ratio, 142 wins in 188 games. That's astonishing. That's an astonishing record. Are they ungrateful, these fans? Are they so bored of winning titles in the way that they're winning them that they would rather risk that success for a new style of football, for a new brand of football? In his 5 years at Juventus, he's spent £747 million buying 52 players and sold 75 players for a total of £457 million. So you're looking at £290 million net spend. Any club that he goes to are going to need to have a similar stash of cash. Otherwise, I think you'll find that he'll just take a little break. It is a 5-year cycle, most of this managerial stuff. And if you look at the team that Allegri actually inherited, you'll see that only 1 out of the 27 players survived the whole time, and that was Chiellini. Let me know in the comment section below whether you think Allegri will be going to PSG, to Chelsea, to England in general, or where you think he's going to end up, and who you think is going to take over at Juventus. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe if you're new, and drop the video a damn like if you breathe oxygen. For now though, I've been hughwizzy, and this has been a lot of fun.